So now to continue, sorry, the video is almost at the end. So we're saying we're crossing a black-haired pig with a white-haired cow. Then once he did the crosses, all the resulting offsprings had roan color. And I was explaining to say roan color is just simply a mixture of white as well as black. So we have offsprings that are having these alleles, B, W. That is what they've said in the experiment. Now remember, that genetic diagram has already happened. So meaning you need to be careful in the exam. They've said after crossing this and that, all the offsprings were wrong. And then it continues to say on A, which you can read there, they're saying, using the letters B for the alleles for black coat color, and W for the alleles for white coat color, which I've already written there, show the genotype of the offsprings. Genotype, genetic composition, using letters. So what is the genotype? In capital letter B and capital letter W or W, depending on the school you attended. So write this on the line to say B, W together, representing the offspring's genotype. Then A2 is saying, explain why neither the bull nor the cow had their coat colors expressed in genotype, expressed in phenotype of the offsprings. Why is it that both black and white color were not expressed in phenotype? Why did we come up with roan after the crossing? Now, remember the concept of recessive and dominant, meaning every time a gene is not expressed in phenotype, it means it is recessive. So as a result, both black and white were simply recessive for the skin color, and as a result, they were not expressed in a phenotype. Or you can say, you can just say that and the exam is going to mark. Then B, which is my area of interest, they're saying, using a genetic diagram, predicts the chances of F2, second fetal generation. Remember when I was talking about generations, I was saying a generation is just simply a lineage of offspring, starting with the parental generation, the first video, second video, and it goes on. So parental generations are the ones that are starting a generation. So here the ones that started the generation are these two. And they had offsprings, which is BW. So these BW are the first fetal generation. Why? They are the offsprings that are born from the parental generation. Now on B, they are saying, using a genetic diagram, predicts the chances of the second fetal offsprings having a roan color when the parent's black bull was crossed with one of the roan color. So here we're crossing one of the offsprings here with the parents to see if in the second fetal generation we'll have offsprings that are having roan color. So what are we crossing? The parent black bull with the offspring roan cow. That is what I was saying. You need to interpret the statement before you go direct to solving. So if I was a person who has not understood genetics, the genetic diagram that I would draw to the examiner is between a white and a black, which is having these alleles, and I come out in the exam thinking I have 6 marks, upper number 6 marks. We know I was saying the genetics comes 5 marks, but here they gave you 6 marks, meaning they want to see if you understand the concept of genetics. So there is that part of you analyzing. That is where the 1 mark is coming from. From the first genetic diagram, now to analyze to say you have this outcome. Now you're drawing a genetic diagram between this and this. So draw the genetic diagram. Simple. Since you know you're drawing between these, then you're home and dry. So what is going to happen? Parental phenotype. What is the parental phenotype? The homozygous black bull with a roan cow. So right, parental phenotype, here we have homozygous black. Homozygous black bull, then crossing with a roan offspring. So you write the roan, write it somewhere here. So say Lone offspring. I've written that because that is what the examiners asked me to draw the genetic diagram of. So I'll write lone offspring. It is an offspring that we're using. Crossing with the homozygous black. So what is going to follow the parents' gametes? Or parents' genotype, sorry. So homozygous black, we said capital letter B. In capital letter B. Then Ron, we're having capital letter B and W. Or W, depending on the school you attend. Then what is going to happen? Meiosis. Separation of the letters. So this B will come here. That B will go there. Meiosis. This B will come here. That B goes there. What do we have formed here are simply the parental gametes, the sex cells. Then after the sex cells are formed, fertilization will start taking place on the crosses. So meaning the first letter goes on the first letter in the offspring. So I have capital letter B, capital letter B. So capital letter B, capital letter B. This B going there. What do we have here? Homozygous. So we write homozygous. Homozygous what? Black. Then this going there. That is B in the capital letter B. Same homozygous black. You write in two ways. Then we proceed. The next letter is again this letter. What have I written? So here is supposed to be W. Fine. W. Sorry. So it's W. I'm sure you highlighted that, just that I can't hear you here. So this goes there, then we have a BW, which is Ron. Fine. So Ron. Then the second letter goes to the first letter, that is B, which is simply homozygous black. Second letter again goes on the last letter B and W, which is Ron. So what do we have here? The offspring genotype. Here, the offspring phenotype. So meaning you have used the genetic diagram to show now that if we draw a Ron offspring with a homozygous black bull, we're going to obtain offsprings that are also having Ron color. As you can see here, we have two offsprings that are having a Ron color. And that is where we end today in terms of Mendel's first experiment. And I've emphasized to say, always when we hear you're talking about color, just know they're talking about Mendel's experiment. And under Mendel's experiment, the examiner is going to fuse the first experiment and the second experiment in some questions. Or sometimes they'll just simply ask you on one experiment. Like looking at this one, 2016 paper 2, they asked us to use the first experiment and the second experiment to come up with your answer. So meaning in the first experiment, we crossed homozygous black with homozygous white. So when we cross, the resulting offsprings were Ron color. So the first experiment has come out. Tall plant, short plant, all the offsprings were simply tall but heterozygous. So here it was a mixture of colors, which is black as well as white. In the second experiment, now they twist the question to say, if you have understood first experiment and second experiment, write now what we are going to use for the second experiment by drawing with the second filio generation. So that is why we end today. Unless there are questions. If you have questions, you can simply ask for them, and you're going to simply do the following exercise that I'm going to send to you. Remember, biology is simple at Cash Tuition Center. This was your presenter, Tamara Tamika Monso. Thank you. See you next time.